In the high stakes world of tech and engineering, brilliant women often hit an invisible ceiling, not from lack of skill, but because the rules of advancement remain unwritten. While technical prowess opens doors, what truly forges lasting success is the still resolve to master the human dynamics of leadership, the self awareness to navigate perceptions, the influence to amplify impact, and the courage to transform networking from transactional to authentic superpower. And this is where Silicon Dreams meet unbreakable leadership. Welcome to another edition of the Power Talks for Remarkable Females. I am your host, Helena Demuynck, the transformation catalyst for smart, purposeful women leaders. And joining in this conversation today is Kathy Hadizadeh, a Fortune 100 tech executive turned revolutionary leadership architect. Kathy has coached numerous leaders across 20 industries, merging neuroscience, mindfulness, and systems thinking to help high achievers ascend without burnout. Her forthcoming book, Pause to Rise, distills this wisdom into actionable strategies for thriving in pressure cooker environments. So, watch the comments so you can see where you can have that book. So, welcome to the Power Talks, Kathy. It is such a pleasure and honor to have you here. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, Helena. Thanks for having me.
Everybody listening in here, welcome to this episode of the Power Talks. We are talking about Silicon Dreams to Still Resolve. Kathy has a lot of experience in the tech industry and she will share it generously with us. If you have any questions, feedback, remarks, whatever input, friendly input that you want to share with us and with the audience, just put it in the comments. We will be very happy to work with that during this episode. Even if you are not watching live, if you are watching or listening to the replay and you have any question or feedback, put it in the comments, put it in the replays so we can basically come back to you because we are monitoring everything also after the launch and the publication of our Power Talk. So, Kathy, from Silicon Dreams to Steel Resolve, where do you want to start? Where did you get that amazing title?
The story of my own life. Because I have been with tech and engineering for 15 years as an executive and the capacity of really working in that industry. And for the past 9 years, I have been working with leaders and executives in those industries and a lot more other industries. And I have seen what it really means to go through the journey, how it can be successful and enjoyable, and how it can be miserable while it is paying all your bills and then some more, but it is not as enjoyable. So it is
Hmm.
very important for me that people understand how they can enjoy their ride, how they can build the capacity for that still resolve, especially in uncertain times that we are experiencing right now in the world, I would say.
Yeah. Does that work come from your own experience?
My own experience, and I have had the fortune of serving about 2000 leaders in their journeys. So I have had the pleasure of having the front row seat to many stories, not just my story. And that has given me a lot to observe, to reflect, and to learn from.
I sometimes have the feeling that these stories are somewhat hidden, are still
Mhm.
somewhat taboo. We are supposed to be successful, thriving, not complaining, show up as a solid, powerful woman leader. And
Mhm.
sometimes after this facade, a lot of other things are happening. Do you recognize that?
I do recognize that, and it is we have to understand we everybody has a right to express what they feel, but there is a place for expressing those feelings. And if we do not recognize where we can express what and what emotions we have to express even to begin with, then that's where we might be in a position that we will send mixed messages, and that will cause erosion of our brand and
Mhm.
tarnish our reputation as a reputable executive or leader in an
Yeah.
organization.
Yeah, there's a paradox in that, isn't it? Sometimes I get this question, so what are you saying? Because I fully agree with what you say. What are you saying? So I cannot be authentic. And I
Oh,
believe authenticity is something completely different than showing your emotions the moment they arise in whatever situation and place you are, especially as a leader when people are looking at you in order to make decisions and make choices and build trust and be the solid rock. It is a paradox, right? It's funny sometimes to hear that where you say, oh, so that means if you are sad and you want to cry in a meeting or in a boardroom, you can do that because that's being authentic. I don't know. I don't think so. What do you think?
oh my God, you are bringing such a good subject up, Helena, because there is a lot of confusion, I feel, around the word authenticity. There is a lot of confusion around being vulnerable, especially a lot of people have read or got in touch with the work of the Brené Brown, and she's leading the conversation in that realm of vulnerability. But the thing is, there is a lot of confusion around what is it that I can share and what is it that is too much to share. There is a subtle difference in there. You have to still think about it, that if you are, for example, I give you my own life example. My daughter is going to a college mid September, and she's going to a college that is a little farther away than what I had hoped for as a mother. Now, do I go and tell every client that I have that this is my emotion and I'm crying or whatever it is that I'm going through? Yes, I'm being authentic. Yes, this is not easy for me, but it doesn't mean that every single person has to be burdened by what I feel. There is a place and a space for that. Yes, there it is sometimes applicable, and I might bring it up if it is applicable, but I will not go to every single meeting and share with everybody that,
Yeah.
hey, this is what's happening to me. So but part of it has been, I have sat with it, I have acknowledged that the fact that this is my feeling, acknowledge the fact that I'm grieving the fact that she will not be in that room across from my bedroom every morning. And also, I have found trusted people that I can confide in them with how I feel about
Mm,
the situation. So my emotions are taken into consideration, but I have found a way of dealing with them. And this is
yeah.
the really important thing that I want everybody to pay attention to, Helena. I put time for all of these process that you said, that I just shared with the audience. The problem of the world is that we don't have time.
I would say we don't make time, we don't prioritize it. And I just want to share with you, Kathy, thank you for sharing this, that apparently in the audience, it's relevant because I see the thumbs up on the screen. And so if anybody wants to add something to that or let us know that they understand or they have similar situations that this really resonates, let us know in the chat, let us know in the comments. You know what really helped me with this?
Mhm.
There's two, I would say, bodies of work that really helped me with this. And it is, first of all, emotional intelligence that basically also teaches us how to understand our emotions and how to deal with them and how to regulate them. Because as you say, this is something that keeps you busy, but it is about regulating them and knowing how and when and sometimes how long you can express them, right? And
Mhm.
that is a very important aspect of emotional intelligence. And another body of work that I work with a lot is conversational intelligence. It is
Mhm.
about understanding the impact of your behavior and of your words on your conversation partners. And it could be a client, it could be in a meeting room, it could be your team, it could be your family, because this works everywhere. It is about understanding that how you show up as a leader. And we are a leader not only in the C suite or with our team, we are always a leader. We are leaders of ourselves. And
100%.
so it is so important to understand that. And especially when you look in the tech business, I don't want to offend anybody, and I don't like to label, but research shows that when you are in the tech industry, that there's a lot of people that are very much focused quantitatively, linear, binary, yes or no. In there's this, how do you call them, that these assessments that put you in certain categories, and I
Mhm.
think it's, is it insights that labels you as blue, very much data fact driven, right? And again, there's research, and I don't want to label or offend anybody, but that means also that they are, in terms of emotional intelligence, less focused on that. So I can only imagine, as women in the tech, it's even harder to show up and to calibrate and to navigate. Okay, how can I show up? How can I be myself? How can I really be close to my values and my beliefs and who I am, and still navigating here and showing up as the leader that this organization or this team needs right now? Does
Mhm.
that make sense?
Yeah, let me say something here in this regard, Helena, that will empower every single person that is on this talk. So if you're listening to us, I think this is going to really give you a tool to go and really feel powerful after this conversation, which is the ability to see gray. There is a lot of black and white. There is a lot of
Mm,
right or wrong. There is a lot of duality. Believe that if somebody is saying this, we should label them that, and then they do not belong to this camp. Whereas there is lots of commonalities. There's a lot
yes.
of gray, and playing in that gray is a capacity, is an ability. And the thing is, women, because a lot of them are more in touch with their emotions, actually they have a upper hand in the tech and engineering space that maybe a lot of men do not have access to that. So it's interesting. 80% of my clients are men. So I
Yeah,
work with a lot of men because that those industries are very male dominated, and
dominated. Yeah,
so it only makes sense that it is the case. But I have seen we have to look into how do we get out of this black and white? And women have a lot of that. So
yeah.
how powerful is that? Who is with us when I say that? Let's see some action. Let's see, do you feel that power in yourself? That how you're able to sometimes see things, feel things that is not necessarily right or wrong. You're able to see through the lines in a way.
Absolutely. I love that. We are living in an era where everything is extremely linear. It's the one and the zero, it's the right and wrong, the good and bad. It's all very labeling and judgmental, which is how our brain is working, especially our more basic brain, but which is not really helpful in complex relationships and when we are navigating challenges. And there again, an important
It's the one and
element.
zero. It's the right and wrong, the good and bad. My phone has started blinking, and I'm like,
You're
okay,
double
yeah,
branding. Let's not do that.
yeah, it's
But
just,
the thing is that empathy, which is also an important element in emotional intelligence, allows us women a
mhm.
lot better, because we have more access to that, allows us to be in these gray zones, right? And we can explore these gray zones through communication, through curiosity, to be open and to ask open questions. And you will see that in a lot of interactions, in a lot of relationships, especially professional relationships, we label, we assume, and we already behave and react as if that is the truth. While if you are curious, if you are open and you start the conversation, then you can have a completely different energy and a completely different outcome, because you have connected with the people, you have connected with the team or with your boss or with your peers or whoever is in that interaction. And that is something very important. And I really like what you say when you say that we got, for a change, that we have a benefit, that we have like the stronger point, because we have these, what are again labeled as female qualities. We have better access to those, because I'm very sure that men also have them, but they never have been taught how to access them.
Helena, we have to understand there is a difference between the brains. There's a difference in there. And so we have some advantages as females that we can take advantage of them. And they have some other advantages that they are taking advantage of it. And sometimes if the females do not take advantage of their own advantage or build some of the other things that is needed, that's where they will not be able to enjoy the game or really evolve in it in a way. And that can be
Mm,
frustrating.
yeah,
That can be
yeah,
frustrating. Yeah.
absolutely. So, for the women who are listening in here, and I especially think of the junior leaders, the mid career women that are in tech and that are
Mhm.
struggling, how can they look at their environment in a different way so they can feel more confident and
Mhm.
they thrive more than the survival that they sometimes mention?
Yeah, so I actually talk about this in the book, Helena, because we build some myths in our mind. And to your point about curiosity, we believe ourselves too much. So
Absolutely. Mm,
tell ourselves a story and we think that the story is the fact and we run with it, and that becomes our life journey. Now, to that point, I want to say something to everybody, and one of the myths is the people saying my work speaks for itself. Hello, your work speaks for itself is a myth. Seriously.
yeah.
Your work, you have to do the work. There's a contract. You're paid to do the work, and you're paid to do it to the best of your ability. That is the contract. That doesn't get you the promotion and the next level and all of those things that you think you are rightfully deserving to receive. That doesn't work that way. Work is
Mm,
work. You need to do the work. That's given. Now, in order for you, especially if you said junior leaders or anybody who is an individual contributor and wants to explore the leadership route, if you're happy with your individual contributor, that's totally fine. And there is a path in there too. But if you really are thinking of going to the leadership route, you need to start thinking about how am I perceived? What's the perception of me? What are people talking about me when I'm not in the room? And you cannot,
mm,
I can't tell you how many times I've said, I don't really want to play these games. I just want to do my job. I do a really good job. Listen, you do a really good job. You're paid for a good job. It doesn't mean that you will be promoted to the next level necessarily, or you're going to go up the ladder if that is your ambition. Not everybody has that ambition. I want to make it very clear. I always ask people, what is it that you really are trying to achieve? If it is a bigger impact is in the cards for you, let's see what is the path to that bigger impact. It
mm,
all depends on what the people are after. But if you are really after a bigger impact, like leading a bigger team, those kind of things, you need to learn to play that game and remove some of those myths that you have told yourself maybe 20, 30, whatever number of years.
yeah. Actually, I also believe that these are things that have been planted in our heads very early on in our childhood. Be nice, be low profile, don't bother people, don't be controversial, don't be things like that. And so we keep that in. I love that you bring that up. It is actually one of the things that keep us stuck, that Sally Helgesen so beautifully describes in her book, How Women Rise. It's an absolute delight to read that book. I gave workshops about it, and I was like
Huh?
listing all the things that we do in order not to move forward in a career. And I was asking, like, who is recognizing herself in at least three of these? And a lot of hands went up, but even if I went, who is recognizing herself in 10 of these, hands stayed up, because we do that. And
Mhm.
we think we should, people should see what we do, people should see what we're worth, but people are not like on the watch of what you do and what your words. Everybody is in their own like microcosmos. So it is very important that your stakeholders and also decision makers in your career are aware of what you are doing, and not in terms of how many hours you are working, but in terms of accomplishments, in terms of contribution, in terms of how you add value. And so it is important. I had this conversation with a partner in one of the big four, and she was a partner in a smaller organization that was acquired by a big one, by one of the big four. And so she was new partner, new office, starting everything. And she said, after a couple of months, I have an open door policy and I wanted people to come in and to have conversations with me, so I knew what was going on. After a couple of months, I realized that the only ones that came in were the men, to tell me about what they achieved, to tell me about new clients, to tell me about new ideas and projects and concepts. They were the men. And she said, I really had to start an active process in order to invite women to show up. And I would say show off, because that's how we look at it, right? It's not like that. But it is about how modest we are, how low profile we want to be. I don't know why. I do know where it comes from. But it is so important that people know what you are worth, what people know that you are capable of. And not only for your own promotion or career progress, it's also important for your team. It's important for your team that you know, that they know who you are and what you can do. Because if they can work for a leader that has and shows potential and that has their back, there will be a lot more motivated than if they're working for somebody who does not like even defends their case in the C suite or in the
Hmm.
boardroom. Does that make sense? Is that something that you, and
Oh,
this is true in tech, but I would say it's true in every corporate environment. It's true in life in general.
100%. So let's see. Yeah, there's a couple of things in here in what you just mentioned. One is, yeah, the backgrounds. Like, I'm an immigrant originally myself, and I grew up in a culture that they said the tree that has more fruit is bending down more. What message is that? Be humble, don't show off. All of those messages, it is it is embedded in the DNA in a way. So I'm sure a lot of people can relate to that. Now, there is something in there, and which is, by just wanting to get out of that, we do not succeed. You are a transformational guide. You know that just the mere want is not going to change the wiring of our brains. Now, one thing is, you need to understand the importance of the change, and you need to be strategic about the change. So if you really want to make that change, you need to strategically design your brand.
Yeah, I love
Design
that.
your brand and building allies around designing your brand. When I say that still resolve, it just doesn't happen overnight. It happens by strategically thinking, designing, building allies, building relationships. It's really something parallel to your job in a way. I run groups for women leaders to build their brands, and I see how much struggle is there. They are amazing. They know a lot, lots of accolade, everything. But when it comes to building a brand, they're like, why should I have a brand?
Yeah,
Because you need to be known for something. And I really liked what you said, Helena. You said, you're not doing this for yourself. You are an entity in this world, very capable, very educated. You know a lot. You can do a lot for people. You can bring a lot to the teams that work for you. So let's make sure you can bring your full potential to the table and optimize your time, energy, and performance in this world. How does it make you feel if you're listening to this? Just think about it.
yeah, think about that. Yeah. And I would like to add, we are role models, right? Whether we want it or not, whether we are aware of it or not, we are role models. And not only for our teams or our peers, or we're also role models for our children.
Yeah.
And that's extremely important.
Right.
because the way that we show up shows your sons and your daughters that it is okay to show up, that it is okay to be aware of what you can do, that it is okay to stand strong and to be powerful. And that is a very important message that you can give to your girls and to your boys. Yeah.
100%.
Mm.
100%. Yeah.
And you say, do you think of that sometimes? And you said before, we don't have time to reflect on that. And I would like to challenge the audience to make the time. Not having time is an excuse. We make time for the things we want to make time for. We decide what is our priority. And so you can change your priorities based on awareness of what it is that you need in order to grow professionally in your career, personally. And as Kathy said, it is not about everybody needs to climb that corporate ladder. But even then, it is important to know who you want to be. And if you never reflect on that, where am I now? And where would I like to be? And how will I bridge that gap? What do I need in terms of resources or skills or, like you said, Kati, allies in order to grow as a person? And it is about reflecting on that. If we don't think of that, if we also don't reflect on all the things that we were successful in this day or this week, to learn from that and to use that as levers for continuous growth, then we will probably stay in the status quo. And if you see how the world is accelerating with everything, it is so important that we are aware of that and that we constantly recalibrate our place in our family. Like, because, like you say, Kati, with your daughter leaving, your role will change. So you probably will have to recalibrate in
100.
your place as a mother, in your personal life. And so in organizations, especially now with AI and all these technology revolutions, your role will change. So recalibrate, think of that. A lot of us, when we are afraid of things or when we are insecure, we try to push it away. But it does happen. It's not gone because we push it away. It will just surprise us, and not in the positive way, if we don't pay attention to it. And if we don't think, okay, everything that is going on here, how do I navigate that? And you don't make those decisions or choices when you are like in constant action. You need to withdraw a little bit and think of that from a place of calm, not from a place of stress and anxiety, because that's what we do. We try to make good decisions from places of stress and anxiety. That doesn't work. That doesn't work. Research proves it. It's not because I think it, it's just the truth. And so find these places. I'm so happy that you mentioned that, Kathy. Find these places of calm and presence to
Hmm.
reflect on these things. Yeah. Or get a coach.
Or join a group. If getting a coach is feels expensive, hard, look around your organization, see what is possible. If they
Yeah.
do not sponsor you to get a one-on-one coach, you can join a group.
Yeah.
Group coachings are more affordable than one-on-one. But it is essential, to your point, it's essential to build space and capacity to reflect a way that is conducive to your long-term vision. And I'm not
Yeah.
saying goals, I'm saying vision. Please pay attention. There is a difference within all of this. And the thing is, how do you build that calm in yourself? Everybody is so different about that. I was in mindfulness. People ask me, oh, like sometimes the people say, "Oh, it was so hard for me to sit even for 5 minutes when we were starting the practice together." And I say, it doesn't mean that you always have to go and sit by yourself. For a lot of people, washing dishes can be that meditative space that gives them calm.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's a lot of rejection and resistance to the traditional practices to basically mind your mind, like mindfulness or meditation. And I'm very happy you bring that up. We can find our own way to find that calm place. It can be cuddle your dog.
Exactly.
It's creating so much oxytocin. I know that because we do that.
Yeah.
It's watching your fish in the pond. For me, that was something. I had aquaria earlier on when I was living in Belgium. Now I cannot have those anymore. I have a fish pond. I can
Hmm.
stare in my fish pond for half an hour. I can do that.
Yeah.
And it's like
Yeah.
complete physiological taking everything down. It's amazing. It's
Right.
yeah,
Thank you for mentioning that because you cannot think clearly from a cortisol high space, which is where we are with a
exactly.
deadline driven culture, right? The cortisol is
Mm,
high. And the beauty, or maybe the ugliness of cortisol, whatever you want to call it, is that it gives you energy. You feel
yeah.
good. And you feel, oh, I'm going. But where are you going exactly?
Mm,
That's the
yeah.
question. Um,
Where are you going? Yes,
where
absolutely.
exactly going? I'm going. But that thing that you said, looking into your fish pond, that is gives you that feel. And I
Yeah,
exactly know what you say because there's a place that I go that I just like to sit and look at the turtles and dogs and all of that. Gives me such an amazing feeling of stillness
yeah,
because the stillness is taken away from us at this time
yeah.
with phones. The moment we have a minute to ourselves, Instagram or whatever it is that we enjoy, uh, but
Sure.
that is, and a lot of people, I see it in my own kids, I see it in a lot of people think that is their downtime. No, that is not a downtime. That is
It's
actually
an escape.
very stimulating for your brain. So it is not the downtime we are talking about with Helena
Yeah,
here. That is not the
absolutely.
downtime. If you're listening to this, we are talking about the real downtime where you can park this phone somewhere, where
Yeah,
you can be on your own with maybe the ugliness of the thoughts. Not all the thoughts are beautiful. Some of them are actually very scary.
mm,
Honestly, we are humans. We have all kinds of things in us.
yeah,
If we just this I always you it made me think I want to mention that, Helena, the toxic positivity. Don't think about this. It is not positive thinking. Hello, not every positive thinking is not that you avoid thinking about what is it that needs to be thought about. That's
exactly.
not positive thinking. You,
Yeah,
there is something that you
mm,
need to deal with it. You need to deal with it. Putting it
yeah,
under the rug, it's not going to solve it. It's
no,
going to come back
absolutely not.
there.
Yeah,
So
I
yeah,
like that. And you said we are human, and I would like to add, we are human beings. And
yeah,
most of us act like we are human doings.
yeah.
So it's not only this escape on Instagram, on Netflix. I'm not saying that you can never be there. That's not true. But it is not bringing you this calm, like you say, Kathy. But I know I even have coaching clients. They come here with me. I live in the middle of nowhere on the top of a mountain in Spain. And they come here for 4 or 5 days coaching. And they're like, what no? What no? I need this. I have another question. I want to do this. I need a vision board. And I say, hey, relax. And he said, yeah, but I'm here only 5 days. I need to take advantage of that. And I say, you will not take advantage of it if you are filling every moment of your day and evening with activities and not having the bandwidth to let it land and to reflect on it. That's also what we do when we go on holidays. Kathy, I see people, they come back from holiday, they're exhausted
They need a
because they have been everywhere. They have seen everything. And they're like, whew,
Mhm.
that's not the idea. At least it's not my idea. It is about retreat, and retreat not in a military way, but retreat in terms of going back to yourself and
Yeah.
connect with yourself. And from that new connection with yourself, you will be able to connect with other people, with family, friends, team, colleagues, peers, other stakeholders in a completely different way, in a completely different energy, and again with a completely different outcome. Does that make sense? Think of it. I like what you say, saying something and then say, think of it. Pause
Mhm.
a little bit with that. So important that we are
Mhm.
human beings, not human doings.
I want to pose a question to audience in line with what you said, which is how many of you have had the word executive presence in your performance reviews, that you need to build more executive performance? Just think about that. And then you scratch your head and say, executive performance, what is that? And then you go to YouTube, and a lot is about you need to look good, you need to dress well, you need to do blah, blah, blah. Those are the easy things. The real thing is your being as your presence. And how do you build more of that?
Yeah.
That is the key. That is what Helena is talking about. When you go to that space that she has, and when you go to any space that somebody's holding a space for you, where you can really explore what am I about?
Mm,
Journey of life.
yeah.
And if you can explore that, then you can explore what is you about when it comes to being a leader. There is a lot of layers to this, and it is hard to have those moments if somebody is not holding the container for you.
Yeah.
That's what you offer them in your place. That's
Yeah.
what we I offer in some of the group coaching, because you need that space. Because if it is on your own, you think about this, it becomes irritating. What will you do? You go and decide to do laundry. You think of all the chores in the world that you need to do.
Yeah.
And then you come back and say, oh, I have a procrastination problem. No, you don't have a procrastination problem. It's just that you are not able to emotionally deal with it. Procrastination comes from not emotionally unresolved situations, really.
Mm,
You're
yeah.
trying to avoid dealing with them. So
Yeah.
consider that in your journey. How do you build that container for yourself?
Yeah. And as a leader, I would add, how do you create that container and that safe space for others?
Wow,
I
thank you.
see so many leaders entering meeting rooms from a place of stress and
Mhm,
from a place of time limit and entering with a nervousness, and there again reflecting, like, how do I show up? I like the concept of pause. And sometimes I say, when you go into a meeting room, which, because we have back to back meetings, we don't even have time for lunch, or going to the restroom is very difficult. So change that, please. But when you step into a meeting room with your boss or with your peers or with your team, take a deep breath and ask yourself, how do I want to show up in this meeting? What does this team or this person need from me right now? And
mhm,
how can I impact the outcome of this meeting in a positive, effective, and efficient way?
mhm,
That's all you need to do to make a major shift, to let go of all the stress from your earlier meeting or from something that happened at home or whatever. And breathing also physiologically changes your your state, basically. If you are extremely nervous, if you are extremely agitated or anxious or whatever, my best advice for leaders in corporate is go to the restroom, breathe for 5 minutes, breathe in 3 or 4, and breathe out 6. And you will basically calm down your brain, you will calm down your body, you will lower your heart rate, and you then go into the meeting. That's It's crazy. It's all it takes. We are completely capable of changing our state in 5 minutes. If you don't believe me, please try it and let me know, because I know it will work. Yeah. You don't need 15 minutes of meditation, 5 minutes of breathing. No.
Yeah, thank you for that. The reset that you need really is much faster available to you. It's just building that button to reset. I had a client who was a global in charge of the global accounts for a big corporate for a big international corporation, and he was like, oh my god, I back to back meetings. I'm sure everybody's familiar with that. You know what change we made? The change we made was that we decided that his meetings needs to go, instead of an hour, 45 minutes. So he would have 15 minutes between the meetings. That changed his life.
Yeah.
That changed his life. I'm not talking just the corporate life. I'm talking about his life. He was able to think sharper. He was able to deal with people differently. He traveled to Europe, to London, to meet the team over there and be able to think in a different way with them. So this is key what you're saying. There is power in breath, and you do not need all these fancy apps. Please don't. Everybody has nowadays this smartwatch. All the smartwatches have one of these
Smart
timers.
ring.
A smartwatch, everything can give you like 5 minutes for yourself. Not even 5 minutes, 3 minutes for yourself. You do not need an app or a fancy voice. Just learning to connect with your breath. But I have to say, it sounds simple, but it is not easy.
Yeah.
And that is the practice. And that is what sets apart a lot of people from other people. Because
Mm.
really learning to be with your breath, to be with yourself, is a gift you can give yourself, but it's a hard gift. This is
Mm.
one of those gifts that you have to put all of your coins in the piggy bank for it to get it. Because it takes
Yeah.
time, energy, and effort and discipline, all of
Yeah.
it.
I remember it's a couple of years ago that Simon Sinek gave this, it's on YouTube. And I think the title of this is Do You Love Your Wife? We're not going to go into that, but basically what he was talking about was intention and consistency. And he said, for example, if you want to have a healthy, how do you say, healthy teeth, yeah, it's not like once in a year you do a big maintenance. Yeah.
Hmm.
Every day, 2 or 3 times per day, you brush your teeth. Very small actions, but consistent and
Hmm.
intentionally in terms of that. If you do that, you will have a healthy teeth. And it is like that with everything. It is like you say, it's very simple and it is not easy. And yet, it is about mindset, it is about intention, and it is about starting over. If you had a bad day, tomorrow is another day. You can start over again with your reflection or with your emotional intelligence calibration or whatever. It's not because something didn't work out in the moment that it's lost for the rest of the day, or some people sometimes think it's not for me, it's forever. And I believe that we owe it to ourselves, not only owe it to ourselves to take care of ourselves and to build rituals and routines that help us, that support us, that sponsor us in what we want to achieve and what we want to manifest. And we can look for help, we can look for support and sponsorship. And yet, at the basis, it's us, it's our decision. We have to make that decision that we want to show up and that we want to radiate a different energy. And we're a little bit away from our title, like Women Forging Success in Tech. And yet, I believe that all these elements, if you are in corporate and in tech environment where things sometimes are even harder because of the qualitative nature of that environment, quantitative nature of that environment, sorry, that what you can do can have a tremendous impact. And not only on yourself, you will show the way for others. You will show the way for others.
We can even bring another aspect to it, which is the aspect of being kind to yourself. The work of Dr. Christine Neff is about how we can build more compassion for ourselves. And part of that is still resolve that we talk about it in the top in the title of this talk. Part of it is learning how can you be kinder to yourself.
Mm.
If you learn to ask your question, to ask yourself this question, what is a kind thing to do for me? That can guide you to very interesting places.
Yeah. Ask yourself, is it what if it was my best friend, what would I do or what would I say now? And do the same for yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. Love and kindness are very strong principles. We think it's weak to be loving and kind, but that's absolutely not true. It takes power to do that.
And actually, in the book, I talk about the research and the work that is done to show that emotional intelligence that we touched on it at the beginning, you brought it up, Helena, in order to really exercise that, it is connected with self compassion. Because allowing yourself to sit with your emotions is an act of kindness towards yourself.
Mm.
So I want to bring everything full circle in the fact that evolving in your leadership is tied to wisdom.
Yeah.
And it is a lot of times there are those things are forgotten or are ignored, but wisdom is the key here. Wisdom of how you build certain capacities in yourself, and that it comes from really becoming more aware of nobody else but yourself.
Yeah. Amen. That is beautiful. Yeah, that's a beautiful one to wrap up our conversation. We have touched so many different things that all are related to leadership and how to show up. And I know it is something that you hear everywhere, to be your best version. But being your best version is a gift to yourself, not only to others, it's a gift to yourself. And so I trust that what Kathy has brought, what I have brought here today, is helping you with walking that path of manifesting your best version, walking that path of self leadership, wherever you are, in whatever stage of your career that you are. And I'm pretty sure that just applying some of what we have brought here today will create a very big shift. And I want to use this opportunity also to announce the next Power Talk for Remarkable Females, where I will be with Ragini Michaels, and we will be talking about paradoxes. And that's something that is very much related what is here today. It is about accepting that it's not either black or white, that it can be black and white, and work with that. That's like the next step of seeing all the grays. So I hope to see you there all. Thank you so much for being here. Thanks, Leslie, for your kind words. Let us know in the chat how you have experienced this episode. If you liked it, subscribe, like it, share it with somebody that can use this. Thank you so much, Kathy, for being here and sharing your wisdom, sharing your expertise. I so appreciate what you do. I so appreciate you. Thank you for everybody. Have a great rest of your day. And we talk soon. Take care.
Thank you.